All right, let's talk about cancer. For decades, the playbook has seemed pretty simple, right? Kill the bad cells. But what if that's not just half the story? What if it's the part we've got wrong? Today, we're diving into something wild. Cancer's hidden engine, and this surprising, almost unbelievable danger that's hiding in plain sight, inside the dead cells themselves.
I mean, think about it. What if our best weapons, chemo, radiation, even our body's own immune system, are actually, somehow, making things worse? It's a really tough question to even ask, but it's at the very heart of this huge new discovery.
And this is where things get really weird. It's this cruel biological irony. You'd think, okay, a dead cancer cell is a good cancer cell, mission accomplished. But nope, it turns out they're still dangerous. In fact, their death isn't the end of the story at all. It's more like a final parting shot.
So that brings us to our first part here, cancer's final assault. Let's go ahead and unmask the tiny molecular troublemakers that are behind all this.
Okay, so these culprits have a bit of a mouthful for a name. Cell-free chromatin particles. We'll just call them CFCHPs. And the best way to think about them is like molecular shrapnel. When a cell dies, it explodes, and these tiny fragments of its DNA and proteins go flying. But here's the kicker. This isn't just junk. This is active, dangerous stuff that can literally reprogram any cell it bumps into. And this kicks off a really vicious cycle. So, step 1. A cancer cell dies, maybe from chemo or from your immune system doing its job. Step 2. It basically blows up, releasing all those CFTPs. Then, those little bits of shrapnel find their way into a nearby cell. Could be a healthy one, could be another cancer cell, it doesn't matter. And this is the really crucial part. They can worm their way into that new cell's DNA, breaking it and pushing it towards becoming cancerous. It's like a fire that feeds itself.
So yeah, these CFPs are a real triple threat. First, they cause DNA damage. That's the very start of cancer. Second, they stir up inflammation, which basically creates the perfect soil for a tumor to grow in. And third, they actually shut down your immune system, telling your body's own soldiers to just stand down. It is an unbelievably effective act of sabotage.
But this whole discovery isn't just about cancer treatment. It has much bigger implications, and that's what we'll get into next, the debris of aging. This might finally explain why cancer is, at its core, a disease of getting older.
Okay, I want you to brace yourself for this next number, because it is absolutely staggering. Every single day, just as part of your body's normal healthy housekeeping, somewhere between 50 and 70 times billion of your cells die. No, that's not a typo. Billion, with a B. Every single day. And guess what? Every single one of those dying cells releases a little puff of these CFGHPs. So what you have is this constant low-level weathering happening inside your body, day in and day out. And over decades, that damage from our own healthy cells just adds up. This gives us a really clear picture of why cancer risk just shoots up as we get older. It's not some sudden disaster. It's the result of a whole lifetime of these tiny, tiny injuries.
All right, so we've laid out a pretty serious, kind of scary problem. But now for the good news. Let's talk about the solution. This is Section 3, neutralizing the threat. And you're going to be surprised at how simple what scientists found actually is.
The answer, believe it or not, is something called a pro-oxidant cocktail. And yeah, I know, that sounds totally backwards, right? We're always hearing about antioxidants. But this is different. It uses two things you've probably heard of, but in a really specific way. Tiny, tiny doses of resveratrol and copper.
And how it works is it's beautiful. When you take these exact tiny doses together, they react in your stomach and create these things called oxygen radicals. Now, these radicals get absorbed into your blood, and they basically go on a search and destroy mission, hunting down and neutralizing those dangerous CFCHPs all over your body. And the best part? They leave your healthy cells alone. It's like a super targeted molecular cleanup crew.
Okay, this next part is maybe the biggest idea we're going to talk about today. Section 4 is all about a new philosophy. Tame, don't just kill. And this is a complete 180-degree shift in how we've always thought about fighting cancer.
There's a quote from the researchers that just nails it. For forever, really, the goal in oncology has been to just kill, shrink, destroy, annihilate the tumor. But this new science challenges that entire assumption. It suggests maybe there's a smarter way.
So you might be asking, okay, that sounds cool in theory, but does it actually work? Well, they put this radical new idea to the ultimate test in a groundbreaking study on humans with glioblastoma, which is one of the absolute deadliest brain cancers out there. This is where the rubber meets the road.
And the results were, honestly, just astonishing, especially when you realize the average treatment time was less than 2 weeks. In that short time, tumor growth dropped way down. The cancer literally became less aggressive. The tumor's own defense systems were weakened, and maybe most importantly, the markers for cancer stem cells, the very root of the cancer, were turned down. All of that in just about 11 days.
So this really spells out the whole shift in thinking. The old way was about one thing: kill. The goal was to destroy the tumor, and you measured success by how much it shrank. The new way is about taming it. The goal is to change the tumor's behavior, and you measure success by looking at these biological markers of how aggressive it is. We're going from all-out war to, well, to making the enemy stand down.
And just think about what this means in the real world. What if you could tame a tumor before a patient goes in for surgery or starts chemotherapy? You'd be going after a much weaker, much less angry opponent. This could totally change the outcome and hopefully lower the risk of that cancer roaring back to life.
All right, for our last section, let's zoom way out. Let's talk about a future without disease. Because what we're learning here, this goes so much bigger than just cancer.
Scientists are now starting to think that these CFCHPs could be a global instigator of disease. That's a huge claim. They're saying this exact same process, this lifelong buildup of cellular damage, might also be what's driving things like heart disease, diabetes, even Alzheimer's. Is it possible that all the major diseases of aging share this one single root cause?
So what this research really does is completely reframe how we should look at cancer. It's not some random bolt of lightning from the sky. It's more like the predictable end stage of a lifelong process of damage building up, a process that we might, for the very first time, be able to stop right at the source.
And that leaves us with this one final, incredible question. Could the secret to a longer, healthier life, a life with less cancer, less chronic disease, could it really be as simple as just cleaning up our own cellular garbage? It's a wild thought, but it's one that could, quite literally, change everything.